we're going to try to go over some of that. We're going to talk about the different types of lights, incandescent versus LED. We're going to talk about powering options and how to run wiring. We're going to go over the applications of what types of lights are available and what different outputs they can do in different situations. Bob's going to talk a little bit about building code requirements and some of the state regulations for those. Then we're going to try to touch a little bit on what value you can add for your business and then also for your customer by providing low voltage lighting, and then go over some of the new products that are going to hit the market next year or hit the market just this year. First is, right now there's kind of two different types of lighting within the market on low voltage. You've got your standard incandescent bulbs where you're burning a filament, heating up, you're getting 360 degrees of light, and then you also have LED technology. The LED stuff is starting to take over the market share in the industry, but the incandescent still has well over 50% of that market share. The LED is growing quickly. We'll go over a bunch of that. The incandescent stuff, it's been around for a long time. It's very inexpensive. It's produced in high volumes, so you're getting a lower cost per fixture. You're getting a lot of light output. The color of the light is very comfortable with the customer. It's a very warm light that everyone's very used to. It does generate a lot of heat though. In some situations that's good if you're putting them in areas where, especially here in Minnesota where you have a lot of snow load, it's going to burn off that snow and still provide light during the winter months. But in other areas where you're having them at touching level for young children, sometimes the fixtures can get a little warm for the touch. The other issue with incandescent lights is you tend to have larger fixtures. This is a brick light and a little difficult to install as far as a square hole. Even some of the other step lights, you're always having to deal with a large fixture because of the size of the bulb. LEDs. The biggest issue on LEDs right now is temperature. And temperature is the color of that LED filament. You can kind of see in this one would be described as a cool white. They're rated in kelvins or degrees of Kelvin. This is probably around 5,400 Kelvin. This one is probably in the 27 to 3,100 Kelvin range. I guess I should point it towards you. A little bit closer to that same warm white as the incandescent. Most of the manufacturers today are moving towards this color of a bulb, getting away from this. I kind of call this the Christmas tree light color that most people are familiar with, the newer LEDs. The other nice aspect of an LED is its long life. These are typically rated for between 30,000 and 50,000 hours. That gives you about 18 hours if they're burnt 6 hours a night, 365 days a year.
18 years?
18 years. 18 years. Did I say months?
Hours.
Hours, sorry. The other is, since you don't have that large filament, they are a lot smaller. So the fixtures can be simpler to install, and you don't have as much of a housing on the unit. So you can get into tighter spots, smaller handrails, etc. The energy on an LED, like for instance on this light, you're at about 0.3 to 0.4 watts per fixture, whereas just this light right here is 12 watts. So the lifetime value on this as far as burning energy, significant. The cost savings, right now I would estimate the payback period as far as the fixture cost is probably about 3 to 5 years. The other positive and negative on the LEDs is that they are directional. They don't illuminate in 360 degrees. They are directional. Like this light, they angle the LEDs at a 30-degree angle. So when they're mounted in a stair, it shines down on the step. In other situations where you're putting on something here where you're wanting to illuminate a large area, they are directional and don't cast a large glow of light onto the deck. Some of the manufacturers are starting to offer retrofit bulbs, so you can convert fixtures that are standard for incandescent with an LED type module. At that point, if you're looking to do something like that, either contact somebody like myself or Bob or the guys at ADI. Picking the right bulb with the right amount of power and the power type that you're using can be a little difficult as far as finding the right particular bulb for making sure it won't burn out over a year to 2 year period, because they are fairly expensive on a retrofit basis. LEDs, they don't produce any heat or very minimal heat, which thus doesn't attract bugs, which is very important here in Minnesota. A lot of consumers really find that positive feedback of it won't attract mosquitoes. But it also, since it doesn't generate a lot of heat, won't melt that snow. So if you are putting them on stairs, they're going to burn underneath that snow load. One of the other issues between the LEDs and incandescent bulbs is they've kind of changed up the power system for it. An incandescent bulb has always worked off of a 12 volt transformer. They've always just rated them as a standard transformer. Well, it's an AC or an alternating current transformer. Most of the LEDs that have come to the market recently for the deck side of the industry have been powered by DC transformers or direct current transformers. A couple of the issues there is that on the direct current side, polarity is a huge issue. You have to stay consistent on your polarity. If you cross the polarity, the light's not going to turn on. You don't want to run an LED light on an AC transformer that's designed only for DC. Essentially, the spikes in the power are going to burn that bulb out in less than a year, where you have an 18-year-old bulb there. So if you are using LEDs, you want to make sure that you're getting a DC transformer, or make sure that if you do have an LED that is designed for AC, if you're going to use it with that AC transformer. On your incandescent type bulbs, one of the big issues that you do have on power is voltage drop. We'll go into that in a few minutes. Incandescents, you're using a higher gauge or a heavier gauge wire, typically a 12-2 wire. Fishing that in your wood rails can be a little more difficult. Fishing that up posts, etc., bending curves. Your power outage on a transformer for incandescent is typically between 100 and 1200 watts for a deck. On the LED side, a deck loaded out with lights, you're looking somewhere between 30 and 60 watts. Very, very low power. The other nice aspect on the LEDs is most of them are dimmable. So you can hook up dimmers to them, so the customer has the option of being extremely bright or dimming it down more for mood lighting. I just wanted to go through a couple of the different transformers. This transformer, this was actually the transformer we pulled off the deck for a soldier build. It blew up pretty much, but I kind of wanted to show some of the different products that are out there. We run across a lot of builders that are using big box store transformers, and there's a lot better quality out there. And I'll go into some of the issues with those types of transformers later, but I'd highly recommend, if you're doing some low voltage lighting, invest in a good transformer. It will benefit the system for a long period of time. This is an AC transformer. This is a transformer from TimberTech. It has about every option you could think of. It's multi-tap, so you can push 12 volts, 13, 14, or 15 volts. It has a built-in timer. It also has a built-in photocell, stainless steel. It has a lifetime warranty. Weighs probably 30 pounds maybe. It's a good sized transformer. The LED transformers, the DCs, are typically a lot smaller, 100% waterproof, and have some form of kind of a quick connect system to ensure very easy connectivity to it and getting your positive and negatives going directly from there. On transformers, some of the big things is if you do install it indoors, whether it's in a garage or in a basement, make sure that the transformer is rated for indoor use. Not all transformers are rated for indoor use. They also need to be mounted at least 12 inches off the ground. And when you're calculating the size of the transformer that you need, it's fairly simple as far as adding up the total watts of fixtures that you're going to use, but give yourself some room, whether it's 10% for overage of just voltage drop, or whether it's extra room for growth that the customer might want to add lights, landscape lights. You get 90% through the project and they want to add some other lights in some other areas because they think it's so cool. Give yourself a little bit of room on there. The other difference between this behemoth and kind of your big box transformer is the efficiencies. A typical Malibu type transformer runs at about 70 to 80% efficiency. So if you buy a 100-watt transformer, you're really only getting 70 to 80% watt output from this transformer on a consistent basis. So if you loaded that up with 90 watts of power light bulbs, you're going to get a lot of dimming effect over time. Whereas a lot of these more professional grade transformers are running at about 100%. As far as controls, one of the cooler, and I don't know why I get a kick out of this product, but it's called an Astronomical Timer. And what they've done is they program in here, the first thing you do is put in where you're at in the country. So you come in here, put in you're from Minnesota, and it'll say north, south, east, west, etc. And in the programming, it knows when the sun comes up and when the sun goes down. And turns on, you can have it programmed to come on at dusk, turn off at dawn. You can have it turn on at dusk and turn off at 2 in the morning. You have a lot of power. You can have it control Monday through Friday, one thing, Saturday and Sunday, something different. There's a lot of control that you can do with these timers without having the ability for it to be in the sunlight to be controlled by the sun. It knows when the sun's coming up and down. There are manual timers that you can put on there, and I think Bob will probably speak to some of these issues as far as timing of lights and what's required by some lights. Some lights are required to be on all night. There's also photocells that, I guess I don't have an example of one here, but that you can either install onto the transformer or you can remote that photocell to the edge of the deck if you need to with an extension wire. A lot of the new LEDs are coming in with dimmer boxes that come with a remote control. So you can basically put everything underneath the deck. The homeowner can have their dimmer and control their lights on and off from a switch. A lot of guys will also put the plug on an interior switch so that the consumer can take it on and off from inside the house. Wire nuts. Probably the best one that we recommend is just a standard silicone wire nut. Make sure you got silicone waterproof nuts. There are a lot of kind of quick connects type systems or systems where you can just push it in, crimp them off. They're not too bad, but you have to make sure that you've got the right gauge wires, both on the fixture and the lines going in for them to work real well. Aurora, one of the manufacturers here, they have a nice quick connect that basically clamps over your wire, puts 2 spikes across it, and then you can feed up to your lights off of a main lead line. Probably the last thing just on kind of controlling this stuff, really, anytime you install one of these systems, test the system before you start putting on silicone wire nuts. If you have a reverse polarity or any of this kind of stuff, these silicone wire nuts will drive you nuts as far as all the grease and stuff in your hands. They'll get all over the place. So test it before you kind of nut everything off, and that's from personal experience. I did want to talk just a little bit on voltage drop, because we've been hearing this more and more from builders across the country that have gone and installed some pretty big lighting systems, and they call up and said, you know, the last light, you know, looks like it's about a third the power of the other ones. And this is typical for incandescent type lights where you have a lot of wattage going through the whole system and to particular lights. Every system has it, you just have to learn how to control it. I put an example on here of if you had a transformer, a 12-volt transformer here and a 50-watt light, 1 foot away. By the time it just gets to that light, you're at about 11.5 volts. You want to stay between 10 and about between 12 and was it 10.5 or 10 something watt or volts in order to power a system to get the maximum lifespan of these bulbs. If you had that same transformer and put 5 of those or 6 of those lights on there, by the time you got to the end, you'd end up with a 9.5 volt rating going to that last light. That's going to be a very dim light. So a couple of things that you can do is, the easiest to do is do a loop type system. So when you run your line from that transformer out to your lights, from that last light, bring a line all the way back to the transformer, essentially sending power from both directions and equalizing that load. That's probably the easiest. If you have a fairly complex system, a couple of loop systems. Run a loop to the stairs, do a different loop for your post caps, split it up so that you're not running one line all the way out to all the lights, or else you're going to end up with that first light being the brightest and the last light being the dimmest. A couple other things you can do, like for instance, if you put a transformer in a garage and wanted to run a line 200 feet out to the deck so that you don't have the transformer on the deck, that 200 feet, you're going to end up with a huge voltage drop, especially if you're using a small 12 tube line going from the transformer to that first light. A couple of things you can do in that situation are either do a multi-tap transformer where you can actually increase your voltage from 12 to either 13, 14, or 15, so that by the time it gets to your deck, you're at 12 volts. Or you can use some bigger wire, whether it's 10-2 or 8-2. Anytime you have long distances of wire, increase your wire size. Basically if you've got about 100 foot of wire before you actually get to your deck, increase that wire size. Or look at getting a multi-tap transformer.
First, you got to think of what do you want to light. What type of light are you going to have? You have paths, you have stairs, and each one can require a different amount of light. Do you want a floodlight or do you want a spotlight? And then there's also different types of lights for post caps. And side of your post, you've got deck lights that actually install right into the decking. And you have riser lights on your stairs, which can be installed either on the horizontal surface or on the vertical. It's all up to personal preference there. And then I touched on what do you want to light, what type of light do you want, flood or spot. Floodlight is probably best explained. More of those are incandescent. They spill out light everywhere, whereas Blair said LED lights are more of a spot and focused light. Next I'm going to show you here a couple different examples of applications. I'll step over here. This is the first, basically when I came on board with ADI about 8-9 years ago, this was what we had. This was really all that was out there, the Aurora light. It's an incandescent bulb. It's a taillight bulb is all it is. A couple things with incandescent. Anybody can do this. You can flip-flop the wires, positive, negative. You can do 18, 20 lights. It's not going to matter. They're all going to light up. They're all going to light the same. You get too far out, you may have a voltage drop if you have a 200-foot run or something like that. One of the things with incandescent bulbs and low voltage lighting, they're very hard to dim. They recommend you don't dim them. There is some special equipment or some different transformers out there, but by and large, they're tough to dim. So you're not happy with your light output, you basically are forced to get a bulb that puts out less light. This one here, this is an 18-watt bulb in here. There's like 11 watt and 7 watt bulbs available. Everything else on this display right here is LED bulbs except this. And this one light is probably drawing half of the wattage from the transformer that all the rest of them in total are. So, very easy to install, getting to be a little bit outdated, but they do put out very usable light. If you want to light up your deck and be able to maybe read out there, that's the only way you're going to be able to do it. You'll not get the light output on an LED bulb. Which will bring me to these. This one it's probably hard to tell from right there that it's even lit, but if I hold my hand up there, it's casting lights down. It does not touch the post, it just goes straight down. So unless this room was really dark, you will not see this light. One of the things with LED bulbs, I don't believe Blair mentioned it, is they're very polarity sensitive. If you don't keep the positive negative straight throughout your installation, you go to plug it in and half may work and half won't. You're not going to hurt anything, but you're going to have to go back and undo all your work, figure out which wires go where. So when doing low voltage installations, even though you can flip-flop on this, I think it's a good idea just to do it right and keep everything straight the first time, and eliminate a lot of work of having to go back and disassemble and do some troubleshooting. I guess that's it on that one. I'll move over to this one here. This one here, I'm going to steal a little bit of Blair's thunder at the end of the show. This is one of the new products. I think if you were out in Chicago, you've seen it. This is a light by Fortress. It's LED. It's very, very neat. You basically buy the cap, and you can buy the lights separate and put them in yourself. Anybody can do it. If you choose to not light either side of the light, you would just either snip the wire and terminate it there, or leave it lit on all four sides. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this light. This one here, you can buy lit on 2 sides, 3 sides, 4 sides, 1 side, but it's a lot of different SKUs. This one, you can do that all on your own, just by buying one post cap and one LED kit. Then we get to this one here. This is another LED bulb. It's just got 4 corners that are lit. Again, you can tell, one thing to keep in mind when doing a system is you want to make sure all your lights are putting out the same color temperature that Blair touched on. For example, you wouldn't want to put this light that has a bluish hue to it on the same deck that you're having these little spotlights that are putting on a real white light. So even within the same manufacturer, some of the light outputs are different colors. So keep that in mind. Maybe test the things in the dark before you put them out, because last thing you want to do is go to turn them on at dark and find out, oh my god, I got a blue light and I got a white light. So this light here, this is a post light that you probably again can't see that's lit. Very easy to install, and this is more of a floodlight. It's going to put out more light down onto the deck area, and it's not so focused. Then we'll move on here to these little lights here. They're very bright. These are Downlights, they're called. They're waterproof. You can put them on your stairs. You can put them right on the step. People can step on them. It's not going to damage them. There's also ones that look identical, but they cast a 35-degree ray that'll shine down on the stairs like Blair talked about. So the main thing is keeping your wires straight, your polarity correct. One thing they don't do a very good job on is on the low voltage wire, like the 18-2 or the 12-2. It's hard to identify which one's positive, which one's negative, but there is a rib on one of them. So you just got to keep that one in mind, and going from the very beginning, use that one as your negative or your positive, but keep it straight throughout the system, and it should work in when you're all done. This one here too, this whole system is, that's my car keys, is dimmable. Again, this light will dim because it's hooked up to this dimmer system, but not intended to do that. So it's mainly intended just for the LED lights, and you can take them down to nothing. You can also switch them on and off. So one other light I failed to mention was this strip light here underneath. These are very, very neat. They put out a lot of light. This is one of my favorites. It's really intended to be installed into a saw kerf, and I'll show you an example. Blair has one here. It's a flexible rope light, and what I have installed is I have this holder installed that the light is slid into, kind of a retrofit application. But ideally, you'd want to put a saw kerf under here, and then just stuff this up and friction fit it up inside, and it's not noticeable, but it puts out a lot of light, and it's a great look. There is a couple companies out there that do illuminated balusters. This one is made by Decor. There is a, yeah, if you would please. And this is another baluster that's got LED light bulbs in it as well. Very, very nice look. And it is a lot of work to install a system that has balusters. There's a lot of wiring that's got to be done. But when you are done, you really truly have something that nobody else has.
We're a little bright, but the effect that this baluster does onto the deck of this kind of spiral is really cool. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. And I think there's some pictures later in the slideshow here that shows that baluster lit up and the effect it has. And that brings us down to solar lights. Plain and simple, I just wouldn't do it. I don't know how much experience you guys have with solar, but we sell them. We wish we did not. The benefit obviously is they're very, very easy to install. Anybody can do that, blindfolded. But boy, the amount of calls and returns we take on solar lights is just, it's sad. So until someone comes up with a really good solar light, I'm down on them, and I would not recommend them. So, would you agree, Blair?
Batteries, photo cells.
And the light output on those is, you know, you get a much bluer light even than this, and there's just hardly any light.
You know, everything's based off of just batteries, you know, rechargeable batteries, and the batteries that come with them last maybe a year. So you're going to get callbacks saying, hey, my lights aren't working anymore, you know, over a battery. Everybody thinks these things should be warranted for 5 years. They're typically not warranted at all. You know, they're very blue in color, and they don't put off a lot of light output anyways. They're just mood lighting. But yeah, the returns, the servicing, they're a nightmare.
Yeah. I guess that leads me up to here,
My
Bob.
goal here tonight is to make sure if we put lights on decks, work on electrical on decks, that it's safe. We have some rules we follow, the Minnesota State Residential Code. And it's this document right here. It's not the pages we get from the city. Not the pages we get from the city. There's very specific rules we have to follow. And those rules are there for reasons, to protect life, property, health, safety. The other ones we have are the Minnesota Residential Code, the IRC, the National Electrical Code that we follow, and all kinds of others. So how do we change the screen? Who's got control of that?
I just tap on the space bar.
So who enforces these codes? We all put lights on decks, whether we're allowed to or not, that's up to debate. The Minnesota building officials enforce that. Plymouth is big on it, Lakeville's big on it. We can't just go put lights on deck unless we're licensed electricians. The Minnesota Department of Labor, the State Board of Electricity enforces these rules. Our insurance companies, we wire lights on somebody's deck or do work on somebody's deck and somebody's hurt or we burn somebody's house down because we did it wrong. Our insurance company, law firms, and homeowners are going to get involved in this. Real estate transactions, that's our Truth in Housing. They say to us, have you done any improvements to your home that require a permit for which you can obtain one? How do we answer that question? So those are really important factors as we do this lighting. So our goal here is to make sure if we're going to do this stuff, we're going to follow the building codes, we're going to do it correctly, and we're going to do it safely. Minnesota Rule 303.6 says that all exterior stairs are required to be illuminated. It doesn't say the lights have to be on the stairs. It could be a light from on top, it can be a light from on the bottom, but it does say that it has to be always on or automatically activated. That can be a timer. That can be a constant circuit. So those are things that we have to pay attention to. So as we're building these decks, or we have to exclude them in our contracts with these homeowners so we can shed the liability so that we're not held accountable for this. I can talk for days on the science of electricity and why we do it and how I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make this happen in 4 or 5 minutes. So one of the rules that affects deck builders, I don't know that we're all aware of, brand new for 2011, the NEC, the National Electrical Code. The specific code is 210.52 paragraph 3. All decks that have access to the interior of the home from the exterior are required to have an outlet on it. Are we required to do that? Probably. Are we capable of doing that? Probably not. So we need to exclude these types of rules when we write our contracts, because we're not allowed to put primary circuits on our decks. They have to hire an electrician. So if we're hired by a homeowner to put a deck on a house, it requires that an outlet be installed within 6 feet of the surface of the deck and be code compliant. We need to write in our contracts that says we can't do this. We're not responsible for the NEC 210.452. It's very important details. Imagine you build the whole deck and the building official says, guys, your deck doesn't meet this requirement. Who pays for that? So let's start adding stuff to our contracts to save us from that simple rule. This is a big one. This one has to do with safety. It's the hot tub rule. It's the NEC Rule 680. When we put hot tub, we build a deck, somebody's going to put a hot tub on there. Lots and lots of stuff can happen. There's a lot of voltage included. It has little to do with lighting, but it can affect us. None of these lights are allowed by code to be within 5 feet, 60 inches of a hot tub. Everybody says, well, they're low voltage. What could that possibly hurt? The explanation is these transformers that Blair brought in, they only have 2 prongs on them. They're non-grounded transformers. When you plug this stuff into a GFI outlet, what happens is you're converting the electric through magnets to another type of circuit. Even if they have 3 prongs, I saw one that he brought up, had a 3-prong circuit on it. You have a different ground plane at your deck. When these transformers go bad, you get a short between the primary and the secondary coil, you can put up to 600 volts across these lights. Not a happy time. When you're sitting in the hot tub, the light goes out, you reach over, you give it a tap, you just put 600 volts into your hot tub. 5 feet is the minimum that we can put, or the max, how I say it. You can't put these within 5 feet of your hot tub. The other thing we talked about on decks are these aluminum rails. If you've got a hot tub, all the metal parts within 60 inches of the hot tub have to be grounded on the same ground plane as the hot tub. When birds sit on phone or power lines, they don't get electrocuted because they're on the same level of electricity, the same, what we call, I can't pronounce it very well, equipotential bonding or neutralization. We need to ground our rails when they're near that hot tub. For the same reason birds don't get electrocuted, if you're in the hot tub and you get a voltage charge across it and you touch the rail, you won't get electrocuted. So every piece of metal within 5 feet has to be done. Is that our responsibility? Maybe, maybe not. Think how cool it is if we put a little ground wire coming down a number 8 wire and maybe a little flag on there so that when they have their hot tub installed and you've taken a picture of it and then somebody's hurt, it's like, guys, I told you this had to be done. This rail had to be grounded. I'm following the building codes. We just shed some liability so none of us are getting pulled into court when somebody gets hurt from these hot tubs with the different voltages on your deck. Again, the GFI doesn't work. Even though you're plugging your transformers into those GFI outlets, it's not affecting the transformers. It's a separate isolated circuit. Switching devices all have to be 5 feet away. All lighting fixtures and outlets have to be a minimum of 5 feet horizontally and 12 feet above the surface. So keep that low voltage stuff away. You put a light in your deck and somebody gets hurt, they're going to come back to us and ask us to resolve that issue. Minnesota requires that all people installing low voltage lighting be licensed electricians. I included on these slides, and it's available for all of you after, to get those low voltage certificates. I'm not the policeman of the state of Minnesota, but if you're going to do this stuff, at least do it safely so that nobody gets hurt. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the codes and the licensing and the lighting systems. Don't be afraid to ask. Yeah?
Is that a separate class test for low voltage applications versus regular electrical license?
It is. The low voltage license, the technical voltage license, has the equivalent rates of a master electrician. You're allowed to design, lay out, and build and manage up to 5 groups of people installing low voltage lighting. So even a regular electrician doesn't have the knowledge or the licensing to put in this low voltage lighting. And the training is relatively simple. It's why we keep this stuff so many what the distances are, how do we design the wires, how do we keep the polarity straight, how do we protect people from getting hurt. So
But
it is
you don't need to be licensed electrician to get that certification. You can get that certification independently.
You can get that certification separately from being a licensed electrician. This is the same license that allows you to put in fire alarm systems, telephone, cable, computer networking systems, the same type of system. Thermostats for furnaces, all those types of systems.
There's now required hours to get
Pardon me?
that license. You have to have licensed hours. You know, like a plumber to become a journeyman has to have registered hours.
You
now
do
have to
now.
do that to apply for
The rules are fairly complicated, and you can't just go sign up and pay a fee to get this. You have to have so many hours of service working for someone to get this, or a four-year college degree in the electrical engineering field to get this. So it is a challenge, but the simplest way for any of us to get this is to work for someone who's got that license and can prove time and service. So that is the easiest way to get it.
They do regularly hold tests during the Minnesota Nursery and Landscape Association at their Green Expo the first week in January. The past few years, they have held the low voltage lighting test for the landscape industry. And it's been open thus far.
And it's important to get that, so when we do put the stuff in, we're doing it safely and get those licenses. That'll set us all apart from everybody else in this industry by having that license and doing it correctly and not having somebody get hurt. It's going to be a mess when we do have somebody get electrocuted or this electrical breaks down. When a transformer goes bad, it throws 600 volts across that surface. If you get your polarities mixed up, you don't do the polarities correct, you can have a fire start in your wire. You get this real heavy 12-2 wire. The result of a mixed polarity is heat. Electricity is simply atoms moving from one source to the other. The generators are producing this electricity, is trying to transfer to the ground. In the process, it creates heat or light. So how we control that and stay safe is really important. Those are the things we'll learn by taking these classes. This can set us apart from every other deck builder in the entire nation. I think that's about all I've got on the electrical. Happy to answer questions. I didn't want to be up here and preach for a long time and talk about it. I'm happy to answer questions. We've got lots of examples of the right way and the wrong way to do electrical in our showroom. So take a look, ask us questions, and we're always willing to help you design and lay out systems that you purchase. And just do it safely, make sure nobody's getting hurt. Keep these railings grounded when you're around the hot tub. Shed the responsibility by writing in your contracts that you're not responsible for putting lighting on decks or the outlets on decks. And just make sure you're grounding your stuff. And take a picture of it and save that picture so that when the electrician does come in to wire the hot tub, if he doesn't ground it correctly, it's like at least you did everything in your power to ensure that that was done correctly. So document, document, document.
It says you don't need to be an electrician if it's 30 volts or less.
That's not true.
That's, let me step in here. That's everything I've read up to this point. I've been searching for this answer. In fact, when Ed was with us last week, he made a phone call to a master electrician and asked him, do you need to be a licensed electrician? And he said no, so long as it's under 50 volts. Anybody can install low voltage wiring. Now, sounds like you...
The rule is actually different than that. It's administrative. How do you go backwards on the slide? It's Minnesota's Administrative Rule 3800 is the rule. Low voltage is considered anything under 600 volts is a low voltage. So 12 volts is under 600 volts. It's still in the low voltage category. We're dealing with electricity and we're dealing with equipment and stuff that can produce voltages over 600 volts or up to 600 volts. So you are required to be licensed in the state of Minnesota to deal with this. Very few of us are. So, but if you're going to do it safely. The most important things are those grounding requirements or bonding. They have a bunch of names for what we call the neutral return. So keep that grounding clear, keep your polarity straight. Use only UL listed transformers. I heard a bunch of people say, it's okay to put these transformers in the house. Absolutely can't do it. You can't pass these wires through a wall of a home that come from the transformers because if there's a short, it's going to burn the house down. You get the heat. You can't. The building codes don't allow us to put low voltage wiring through the interior walls of a home unless it's protected in a certain way. Read the UL listings on the transformer. One of the things the building codes do say is that we can install devices as long as they're UL listed. The city of Plymouth said this transformer, this particular style, had to be hardwired into the circuit. UL listing doesn't allow it to be. We actually battled the city, and after some time we won that battle. Make sure you're following the building codes, reading your warning tags, And don't let the cities tell you you have to do something a certain way, they may not know. So, don't put these transformers in the house unless they're specifically designed to be in the house, and your raceways or your channels for those wires have to be installed to that building code. If there's a short in this transformer, there's a short on the system, something's going to give, that wire's going to heat up like a toaster, and it's going to start a fire, and you don't want to be the one paying the bill for that fire.
I just wanted to go through a few of the features and benefits here for both the contractor and homeowner. We'll start with the contractor. You know, first and foremost, if you can sell a lighting package on the deck, you're going to increase your sale price of your project and put more money to your bottom line. I think if you go out and get the certification where you can install lighting legally, you are going to be different from your competitor. You're going to set yourself apart, and it's going to be a huge differentiator for you and your business. Not all contractors offer lighting. Those that do, I think you'll reap the rewards of people talk, neighbors talk. You do it on one house in the neighborhood, pretty soon they want to know who did that, who did your lighting, it looks beautiful. Word of mouth referrals is huge in this business. You stand to gain from that too. And I think a customer with a well-lit deck or a well-lit project, they're going to be a happy customer. And another thing, you're going to be able to fully round out your deck package offering. Again, setting you apart from the competition. We'll skip the next line. Something here I wanted to show you guys is these systems, you know, if what they're saying that you got to have lighting on any stairway, these systems come pre-packaged and they're very, very simple to install. They got good directions. This is just one example. It comes with the transformer, the timer, the wire nuts, the lights, the instructions, piece of cake. I mean, you could almost sell this on every deck package that's got a stairway.
If you can install it.
Once you get your license to install them. Correct. You can come up later. We got, I don't know, 3 or 4 different kinds here where it's kitted product. And it just makes it really simple and easy to go and buy one box, walk out, and be able to do the job and finish it that same day. So, the code compliance, you know, if the customer's aware or led to believe, or should be led to believe that they got to have lighting on their stair system, it should be an easy sell. Ma'am, in order for this to be code compliant, I need to install lights. It should be a standard package in all of your decks, really. I'm not sure, Bob, you can tell us, the 2011 code calls for all this lighting, but the current code that we're using, does it have to be, do you have to have a lit stairwell?
Since 2000, the building code 303.4 says that all stairs have to be illuminated. It doesn't say that it has to be in the risers of your stairs. It can be a light at the top or the bottom of the stairs. It just has to light it to 11 lux.
Okay.
So there's a specific amount of light that has to be. It doesn't have to be in stairs.
Well, like everything else in this industry, it depends on where you're building the deck. Because there's a
municipality rules.
Yeah, every city's code enforcement.
a lot of them don't even look at it. A lot of them look at it with a magnifying glass.
And the last thing, you know, just be confident selling the features and benefits of lighting. If you got any questions, feel free to call Bob, Blair, myself, any of the lumber yards. If they can't find the answer, they'll find it for you. They'll call us, or we're always willing to help and help educate. That's a big part of my job. People call in all the time with questions on lighting. It's simple, but there is some nuances to it, so I don't think it's possible to know everything. So feel free to call resources. As far as features and benefits for the homeowner, first and foremost, safety. You know, your stairwell, if somebody runs down the stairs at night, it's dark, trips, falls, you're going to have an issue. If there's no lights on there and they're supposed to be, who's liable? I guess it's anybody's guess. Who knows? These lights are very energy efficient nowadays. Any low voltage system is much more efficient than a line voltage system, and especially when you get into LEDs, it's probably tenfold. So not a big concern. You know, someone might say, "Oh my God, I got 20 lights. This is going to cost me a fortune." They're very, very efficient. So long lifespan. When these systems are properly installed, they last a long time. LEDs, in my experience anyway, if they're going to go bad, they're bad from the get-go, and you're going to know it. Once you get them installed and they light up, you should not have any problems, barring any squirrels or anything chewing wires. They should last. Blair said 18 hours. 18 years or thereabouts. So it adds curb appeal to the house. Any deck that's lit nicely they just look awesome. They look cool. They set you apart from your neighbor. It adds to your outdoor living experience. You know, that's becoming bigger and bigger as we grow here. Having your kitchen sets and stuff for the outdoor living experience and lighting, it just makes everything, it pulls it all together for a great experience. And then the last one there, security. I was reading that today, looking for things to talk about, and they brought up a good point. It said any illuminated area outside is important for thefts and burglaries and stuff like that. If you keep your area well lit, it's harder for someone to hide in the shadows, hide in the dark, and break in. So with that, I think we get back here to Blair. Blair's going to talk about targeting the market.
These are not for every deck. There's different customers in the marketplace, but there are a select number of clients that these just work perfectly with, and it needs to be part of your portfolio of showing examples and showing products and being confident in selling these systems. Not only for all the benefits that Craig went for, but they're cool, they add to your portfolio, they add to the safety, all sorts of things. They can take that deck that was a $15,000 project and move it up to an $18,000 project. You know, but it's not for everybody. Some customers just, you're not going to sell this system and that's fine. Those type of customers, they're going to put solar lights on there. They're going to value these types of products against the stuff they find at big box stores that are selling for $7, $8. There's a big difference in the products from what you can buy in some of those big box stores to some of these professional grade products. But the ones that are willing to pay, if you show them a higher quality product and explain these features and benefits, typically their willingness to pay and to buy a premium product goes up dramatically. The other big point is that 80% of decisions are made by females. So if you're meeting with homeowners, husband and wife, 80% of all the decisions on the lightings, at least from the research we found, is made by the female. The one thing that the customer has a very difficult time is envisioning what that lighting is going to be like. You have a hard enough time trying to explain what your design might look like. Adding lights to it and seeing what the effects of those lightings is very hard for them to see. Bring examples of fixtures, whether it's, you know, small lights where if you grab an old 12-volt battery from a drill, you can plug them in. You know, show them what the amount of light output is. Show them some of the fixtures and the quality of it. That, you know, you've got all brass. This thing's, you know, going to last a lifetime. You know, bring samples. A lot of guys that we know have trailers that they'll go and hook up. They'll put decking on there, they'll put railing, and then they'll plug their lighting into their trailer wires and illuminate it. And if they show it, they sell it. Pictures, I'm putting that in there as kind of a small little deal. The pictures are also going to sell it, but the samples, they work every time. You know, bring a couple of different pictures of, you know, here's our kind of good line, here's our better, and here's our best line. On the right customer, you can get that premium product installed and increase that price. The other is on, if you do low voltage systems, go back at night and take some photos, right? You know, just before dusk. And you can get some really dramatic pictures that take a deck and really, really make that deck shine. And you get some really cool pictures. I'll show you some here at the end of, you know, some of the stuff you can do. All right, new products. Here's kind of the fun stuff. A lot of this stuff, we just took some pictures from Deck Expo. TimberTech lights. Most of you are probably familiar with those. They came out a couple of years ago. This year, they're switching everything over from incandescent to an LED system. If any of you guys have installed TimberTech lights, burnout light bulbs has been a huge deal in the last couple of years, especially here in Minnesota. They've been popping. So all their products are switching from that incandescent to an LED. The color of their LEDs are very nice. They're between about 27 and a 3000 K, so it's a very warm white. Their riser light, before it used to be an oval-shaped hole that you had to put into the riser and install. It was a very difficult install. Now with the LED, since it's so small, The LED is aligned on the top and is actually illuminating light down onto the step. It's no longer just creating a glow. It's providing a little bit more function. It has a 1-inch hole on the back that's been offset so that you can install it in the center of the board. And if there's your stringer going up the middle, it's offset so that you can install it in the center even with the center stringer. They also have a recessed puck light that's coming out, and then also a light that's designed to go underneath their radiance rail. I don't know whether it's an AC or a DC system. That Deck Expo, nobody seemed to know the answer to that yet. The new product that I'm kind of excited about is Fortress Accents. They're coming out with an entire new line of lighting. It's going to come out in 3 different colors. They're going to have a black, a white, and their antique bronze finish. In my mind, it's one of the highest quality lights on the market. They've put a lot of time and research into their LEDs. They're very high quality. Each LED system has a heat sink built into it to give it a very long life. In their post cap light, it's a very nice color. They also designed a prism in here to reflect the light out from the post cap. You can kind of see it on here. You're getting a lot of light coming away from the top of the post and shedding onto the deck, so it's illuminating a large area. What else with Fortress? They're having a side mount light, some puck lights. Their caps are going to come in sizes of 2-inch, 3-inch, 3.5, 4, 4.5, and 5. They're not doing a 6x6 for some reason. But these lights won't be available until, my guess is probably April or May. Decorators, they're coming out with a whole bunch of new low voltage systems for their railing systems, mostly designed for a 4-inch cap. They are having base adapters to go down to a 3.5 for wood posts. At this point, they haven't clarified exactly which lights are coming to market. They kind of have a light that looks similar to that radiance rail rim light. They've got some bigger ones that look like that Aurora one on the end, but with LEDs. They've got some of their stained glass stuff that they're putting some lights in. But at this point, they haven't really determined which lights are going to come to market or not, but they're planning on several of them. High Point Deck Lighting, they're a company out of Colorado. He's a former deck builder. They've got, they have new puck lights this year, 100% waterproof. They have a built-in heat sink in them as well. Their bronze is a brass finish with a patina on it, so it's a brass material, so it's going to last a very long time. They have a brass, a real stainless steel, and then a black and white that's been powder-coated aluminum. But a very simple, nice, clean light that can get installed all over the place. They also have a retrofit bulb that can go in any of their existing incandescent fixtures. Just simply replace the bulbs. They can run on both AC or DC systems.
What's the point of replacing the bulbs? Just cost or?
Life. The lifespan of an incandescent bulb is typically 2,000 to 4,000 hours. Is about what we're seeing from manufacturers, what they're rating their bulbs at. Here in Minnesota, I give it 2 years at most. When they warm up in the winter, the life of these bulbs are maybe 2 years. So you're replacing the bulbs frequently. And some of these more specialized lights, it's not as simple as, you know, running down to the hardware store and finding one of these lights, especially in the wattage that you need. And for the homeowner that needs to go and replace it several years after you've left, there's no markings on the bulb to tell them whether it's a 4 watt, a 7 watt, 11 watt, 18 watt. So they get very frustrated replacing these bulbs frequently. And some of the fixtures are not the easiest to replace bulbs in all the time. So where you're taking a bulb that may last a year or two, replacing it with an LED, you're decreasing it from a 11 watt bulb to a 1 watt and increasing the life of the bulb.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the price comparison to the LED and the regular light? Replacement.
Oh, for the replacement?
Yeah.
These bulbs, I'm just going to guess, you know, are probably somewhere between 50 cents to $1 a bulb, somewhere in there. The LED bulb, you're depending on which
type, you're looking at anywhere from $10 to $20 for the replacement or the retrofit. Aurora had a couple of cool new products this year. Craig touched on them. This rope light, that's installed in a couple of the steps there. You can install them nicer so you don't see the little dots in there. We're not professional builders. But they also have the track, so it can be installed in other places. They have kind of that little wedge piece that's a nice LED light, and then a new step light that's LED and just your standard glass mount, but smaller design. Decor, they came out with a couple of them last year. They're the company that does the lit balusters, and they're on here. Very contemporary looking, comes in their same finishes as their other products. Pretty much everything from there up is Decor. They make a very, very nice LED product. But this light only works on certain styles of decks. Trex. Trex came out with new lighting last year. In my personal opinion, I think it's some of the nicest lights on the market. They did a very nice job of the stair lights. They put the 30-degree angle with a very thin opening, so you get a lot of light output without a lot of blinding light in your eyes as you're walking up the stairs. It shines down onto the step where you want the light to be and not in your eyes when you're coming up the steps. They're eyeball light, very small design. This will fit nicely on a 3.5-inch wood post. A lot of these lights, they're exactly 3.5 inches. So when you get the round over on your 4x4s, they kind of stick over the edge a little bit. So the proportions on this are real nice. They put the same fixture in this light as they did on the stairs, where it's coming down at a 30-degree angle. So it shines out onto the deck and produces a lot of light onto the surface of the deck and gives a very nice effect. They also, the kind of top right corner, it's hard to see on that picture, and I don't know if I have a picture of it. It's called a dot light, and you're just drilling right down here. You're just drilling a 1-inch hole, and you can put that in the surface of the deck. You can put it in the riser. You can put it all sorts of places. I've seen guys that do the inlays, where they'll put a compass, they'll put the dots in the 4 points of the compass. You can do some really cool things in there and make them flush and work really, really well. A couple examples. I had kind of a hard time finding some real good examples, so I'm just going to do a few of them. These were just kind of nice examples of fixtures that highlighted the deck, that they added to the overall experience. They beautiful looking fixtures attached to nice rails, real clean, fits with the deck. This, I wish it was a little bit bigger, but I kind of wanted to go through some of the things that I see aesthetically that don't work real well all the time. My background, I used to be an architect, so I kind of pick up on these weird things every once in a while, and it drives me nuts. But the deck here on the right, these were TimberTech lights. Those are expensive lights, first of all. That's a lot of lights. But each one, if you can't tell, they're off just a little bit. The way that they're installed and the way that you level them is very difficult. So by the time, I don't even know how many's on there, 15 or so, they're all off just a little bit. And since it's in the center, your eye picks up on it, and it's just overkill. That fixture is too large for the narrowness of that staircase, and for how it's just too many, too much and too many. The deck here on the top left, again, it's right up the center, and on these lights, since you do have a direction on them, there is a level to it, and it's very difficult to determine where the level is during the day without plugging these things in and being able to determine it. So running the lights up the center, each one, even if you're off 2 degrees on one and then 2 degrees the other direction on the next step, running them on every step right up the middle, at night, when you're coming up, your eye picks up on it and you see those different levels, and it looks off. Whereas in the bottom left, these were Trex lights. By separating them out, even if you did 2 lights every other step, you want your eye doesn't pick up
that difference in level between the lights, and it gives a nicer overall look and feel to it. Uplighting. It's one of those that very rarely do we see people do, but it can have a very dramatic impact. Typically, most lights and most products are designed to shine light down, but putting lights in the decking shining up onto the rail or on a post or post wrap shining up onto the deck can have very, very dramatic lighting effect and can make the deck look amazing. So if you have a customer that's on Lake Minnetonka where it's more about how someone looks at their house than how they use it, uplighting is very useful for accenting the design of your deck. I just wanted to show these just for portfolio pictures. Who cares what the deck looks like? These are just beautiful pictures and can give a customer what the effect of some of these lights are and how nice a project can end up looking and can help sell some of these low voltage packages. A couple of just more examples of just accent lighting where you can actually feel the difference between, if those lights weren't on there, the feel of that deck would be completely different. Here's some examples of those balusters, the lit balusters. Those ones we've never seemed to be able to get very good pictures of because they're hard to photograph. But you can kind of see in this top right one, there's a spiral effect that occurs out of that basket on that light that shines down onto the deck. It's a really, really cool feature to those. These are just a couple more high-end projects, and I think that's it. We'll shoot out an email after this for anybody that signed in on the sign-in sheet with copies of the presentation, and we're going to try to get it on our Facebook page if we can. But if anybody has any questions, feel free. If not, thank you.